This might be the softest, most buttery brioche you can make at home. And the best part is, it's actually easier to make than you think. Because once you understand a couple key steps, this dough comes together beautifully every time. This is exactly what we're looking for. Here's everything we'll need. Simple ingredients, but the technique is what makes a difference. I like to weigh everything out before I start. It makes the process a lot smoother once the mixing begins. We'll start by weighing out all of our ingredients. That includes the yeast, sugar, salt, and vanilla. Then we'll weigh the milk and the flour, and finally crack the eggs. This recipe uses 5 whole eggs and 1 extra yolk. Brioche uses simple ingredients, but the richness comes from the eggs and the butter. Now that everything's ready, we'll warm the milk. This only takes about 20 seconds. You don't want it hot, just warm to the touch. We're simply taking the chill off and getting it slightly warm so that the yeast can start activating quicker. Once the milk is warm, add it to your bowl with the sugar and yeast. Give that a quick stir and let it sit for about 10 minutes. This activates the yeast and gets everything started. This is how it'll look after 10 minutes. The liquid becomes a little creamy looking. Once those 10 minutes pass, add the eggs and the extra yolk. And we'll just mix that until the eggs are fully incorporated. Then we'll add the vanilla, salt, and flour. And we'll mix this until a shaggy dough forms. This takes about roughly 5 minutes on medium speed. I highly recommend using a stand mixer for this recipe. This dough mixes for a long time, and the mixer really helps develop the structure. You could do this by hand as well, but your arms and your hands are going to get really tired by the end of this. This is what the dough should look like after about 5 minutes of mixing. You can see that rich yellow color coming from the eggs. That's a good sign everything is coming together the way it should. Now we're ready to add the butter. Cut it into 6 pieces, then we'll add it to the dough 1 piece at a time. Let each piece almost fully incorporate before adding the next. I usually wait about 2 minutes between each addition of butter. This whole process will take about 15 minutes. Once all the butter has been added, we just keep mixing. The dough will take another 10 to 15 minutes to fully come together. It takes time because of how much butter is in this dough, and you can really see the dough start to transform as you knead it more and more. After about 15 minutes of mixing, once all the butter is incorporated, this is what you're looking for. The dough should be smooth with a nice sheen to it. It'll be very soft and slightly sticky, but it shouldn't stick to your finger when you touch it. You can also tell if it's ready by the elasticity. You should be able to stretch the dough and it won't tear. That's how you know the structure has been developed. At this point, the dough is fully developed. Remove the dough hook and take the bowl out of the mixer. This is what it should look like. It actually tastes pretty good even at this stage. Not that you should be eating raw dough and eggs, but it does taste pretty good. Cover the dough and let it rise at room temperature until it doubles in size. This can take a couple hours depending on your kitchen. Once it's doubled, uncover it and gently deflate the dough. Then fold the edges in toward the center. At this point, I'm not trying to knead the dough anymore. I'm just gathering everything together so we're not leaving any dough behind. Once it's folded over itself a couple of times, cover it again. Then refrigerate it overnight or up to 24 hours. Letting the dough rest in the fridge overnight does a few important things. It develops more flavor, makes the dough easier to work with, and helps improve the final texture. Since brioche has so much butter, chilling the dough also firms it up so it's much easier to shape the next day. This is what the dough looks like the next day after resting it in the fridge. It's much more firm and a lot easier to work with. We'll fold it over itself a few times just to bring it back together, and then we'll transfer it out of the bowl. This recipe actually makes 2 loaves, so I'm going to weigh it out and divide it evenly. 1 loaf I'm shaping into a Pullman loaf, which is great for sandwiches and it bakes into this nice clean square shape. And then the other will be a more traditional brioche loaf with that classic browned rounded top. Before shaping our dough, let's go ahead and prepare our pans. We'll butter them well and then lightly flour them. I like to do this first so the dough has somewhere to go as soon as it's shaped. Lightly flour your work surface and turn the dough out. Divide it in half. I like to weigh it so both loaves are even. For the first loaf, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to shape it into a log and place it in the pan. Once the dough is in the pan, gently press it down so it's even across. Then place the lid on. I'm using this to get a clean, square loaf, perfect for sandwiches. And I'll be using this one to make a croque madame this Wednesday for my sandwich series. So make sure you watch that. For the second loaf, we'll go with the more traditional brioche shape. Divide the dough into 8 equal pieces. Roll each piece into a ball and place them into the pan. Once all 8 pieces are in the pan, gently press them down. then cover with plastic wrap. We'll let both of these loaves proof at room temperature until they double in size. While the dough is proving, we'll prepare the egg wash. Add 1 egg to a small bowl with a splash of water. Then whisk it until it's fully combined. These loaves have fully proofed. They should feel light and airy even though they look much larger. That's how you know they're ready to bake. We'll go ahead and brush them with the egg wash, and we'll throw these in the oven. And we'll do the same thing with our other pan as well. I don't use this pan with the lid very often, but it's perfect for getting that clean, square loaf for sandwiches. We'll bake these at 325 degrees until they're fully cooked. This will usually take about 30 to 40 minutes. Keep an eye on them because every oven is a little different. It's always better to go off doneness rather than time. You can use a thermometer if you'd like, but I usually just use a cake tester. If it comes out clean, they're ready. Once they're done, remove them from the oven. We'll go ahead and take the lid off the Pullman loaf and check it out inside and see how it came out. It actually came out really nice. So we'll let these rest in the pan for about 5 minutes. Then while they're still warm, we'll brush the top with butter. This is one of my favorite parts. It adds even more richness and keeps the crust nice and soft. You can see that the butter is just melting right into the bread. Once they've been buttered, run a knife around the edges of the pan. Then transfer the loaves to a wire rack. Let them cool completely to room temperature. This loaf came out beautifully. You can see those 8 pieces, perfectly formed and ready to be pulled apart. The crumb is incredibly soft, rich, and still really delicate. We'll do the same thing with the Pullman loaf. I left this one unbuttered since it's going to be used for sandwiches anyway. This is exactly what you're looking for in a brioche. Soft, rich, and incredibly delicate. If you enjoy watching videos like this, we'd love to have you subscribe and come gather at our table. I'll see you on the next one.